Hi and welcome to the Yorkshire Bike Mechanics YouTube channel. My name's Dave Kay and today we've got in a specialised Turbo Levo, a 2021. I said we would try to do a little bit more about e-bikes and I thought this would be a good opportunity to cover one of the most common problems that people have. It's not specific to e-bikes, but it's a more difficult thing to solve on e-bikes. And that is the seat post is sticking. It won't go up and down, and that's what customers brought it in for. So it's nice and clean. It's not been thrashed or bashed. There's a few little marks and chips in it, but generally speaking, it's in good condition. This particular seat post, it's a fusion post. Specialised sometimes put their own posts in earlier models, but I think they changed to a fusion post on this particular model for 2021. It's a cable operated post. It's not hydraulic like a reverb. It's cable operated, and we know this by the lever. We can look at the lever. We can see just there that you can see the cable, the metal piece of cable that actually runs from this lever to the underside of the post. Okay, now when we press this lever, what should happen is it should be a smooth transition from being quite tight at the top there to a good amount of travel. This one actually stops there. It won't push any further, and the seat post will not go up and down. So what happens with e-bikes generally is, because there's quite a lot of battery in this down tube, and obviously we've got the motor in here. What manufacturers do is they find specific ways to route cables. In this particular bike, the cables you can see where the cable entry there is at the top, and what they do is there's two more at the other side, and one of them is the seat post cable. And what they do is they route these cables really tightly through the frame. And on this particular one, it goes behind the shock, and you can actually see them coming out of the bottom there. And then there's four cables there. There's a hose for the brake. There's a cable for the sensor, for the magnet sensor for the wheel, and the other one is for the gears on the back derailleur. Now what we need to do is we need to access these cables. So firstly we need to take this shock off, because there's a clamp behind there that stops the cables going backwards and forwards. We need to take this cover off here as well, so we can actually access them going through. But also what happens is, and this is a really common problem, when you come to adjust your seat post, it might be that in that particular position it's not at the right height for you, and so what you generally do is you undo the clamp here and you pull the post up to get it to the right height for yourself, and then you lock it off. But what some people forget is that this is a manually cable operated system, and if you're going to pull that up there, then the cable has to come with it. So with the cables being clamped down here at this end, if you're going to pull that up there, it's not going to do anything. In fact, what it's going to do is it's going to dislodge the mechanism that the cable end fastens to make the seat post operate, and it's going to disconnect in there. This particular seat post don't look in bad condition, to be honest. If it were really marked and scratched, then I'd probably say that it might be damaged as a seat post, as well as the cable being trapped somewhere or disconnected, or it could be both. In this particular case, I'm not suspecting that the seat post's faulty. What I'm suspecting is, as I've said before, this has been moved up and it's disconnected in here somewhere, and that would explain Sorry, and that would explain why the lever is so stiff, because there's not free movement in that cable. Somewhere it's either disconnected in this seat tube, or it's trapped somewhere around here. My suspicion is that it's been disconnected here. So what we need to do, like I say, let's remove this top bolt, which will give us access to this clamp, and then we'll take this cover off here, and then we'll see what we're doing. So I'll put the camera in a position that can see this area, and now it gives us access to this area here, which we need to get to sort this post out and get access to these cables. So first job, let's take this shock out. I was hoping we're going to be able to do it by just removing the top bolt, but I think it's probably going to be easier if we take it out completely, because I think there's another clamp there in the middle somewhere, as well as one at the top. So let's get that shock out first. We'll take the bottom bolt out. That's it. Now to put that to one side. That's it. Somewhere safe. We'll get a 5mm Allen key on the top. Okay. So it's not going to fall out, we'll just hold it. Okay, that bolt's going to come out. There we are. There we are. We'll just carefully lift that out of there. Take that out of there. Okay. So that's a shot. We'll put that to one side with his bolts. Now, as you can see, this gives us access to this area here. We've got 3 clamps, one in the middle, one at the top, and this one at the bottom. Now, all these 3 will hold these cables in place. So they're not going to move. So if you can imagine, if you want to lift your seat post up, the cable needs to follow it up, otherwise it'll disconnect somewhere here. So unless you loosen these cables off and feed some cable through from the top, so you can actually adjust itself both ways, something's going to get disconnected, and I think that's what's happened in this particular case. So let's undo these clamps with a 3mm Allen key. Now keep these really safe, because you'll have a job finding some more. Now the bottom one, this bottom one here, usually has like little sleeves inside to hold the hoses, and so this is the brake hose. This is the gear cable. That one's the seat post cable, and that one is the speed sensor that travels back through this lower swinging arm, the magnet sensor, detects the wheel spinning. So we can leave that out of the way. It's not going to affect us. So that's the one that we need. That one there. Excuse me. And I don't know whether you can see that, but if I move that over there and pull that cable, can you see how it's coming out of the top? Move you round. Can you see how that's coming out there? So we know that that's a seat post cable. And we're actually fairly loose now. So looking at this down here, this should actually travel straight up there, but it actually goes down. So something's got disconnected somewhere. So what I think we'll do is we'll see if we can gently pull this post out, if this cable's long enough, if it's going to allow us to do it. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the seat post up with my right hand, and I'm also pushing this cable down to feed it in the right position, so the post will come out the top. I'll just lift the camera up slightly. So you can see I'm pushing and pulling at the same time. There we are, just about there now. Okay, just need a little bit more. I think what I'll do is we'll take the clamp off the bar, just to allow it to actually come through a little bit more. There we are, it's coming now. There we are. Right, so we've got that out now. That's it. Okay. And I don't know whether you can see, that's actually how it's fastened at the bottom of the post. There's like a small barrel with the cable running through. And there's an Allen key at the end which holds the cable in that particular barrel position. And then this is just a standard gear cable which just slots in the bottom there. Okay, so what we'll do is, let's take this barrel off, which will allow us to pull the cable out. And then what we need to do, that's it, we need to be careful not to lose this barrel. Okay, we need to keep that safe. So now what we've got is we've got a seat post out of his bike. There's the other end of the seat post cable that was attached to the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this post a little bit of a clean. And then we can actually manually see if it actually operates, because before it didn't. If it operates alright and it goes up and down alright and it feels nice, then the issue was with this cable in here somewhere. Whether it were disconnected at this end in the bike or trapped somewhere down here, it could be one or either. So let's give it a clean. Right, I've cleaned the bottom of the seat post mechanism. I'll give it a good clean and with solvent, and can you see that? I've given it a good clean with solvent. I've re-oiled it, and although the mechanism does look a little bit rusty, and it's not rusty, it's just had water on it before. It's just obviously discoloured it, but the actual mechanism is working okay. And I've tested it, and the seat post is actually moving up and down when this is actually depressed, which would simulate the cable pulling it down. So I suspect in this particular case we've got a faulty cable. It's been obviously pushed and pulled in the wrong position and created a bend somewhere, and that's obviously restricted the movement of the inner cable to manoeuvre that in the right position for it to go up and down. So I think what we'll do is the outer cable seems fine. I'll renew the inner cable, and then we'll re-grease the seat post with anti-seize, and we'll pop it back in, and we'll just manipulate this cable back round, and we'll see how we go. The lever's here now. Okay, the cable's disconnected at the seat post then, which you've just seen, which enables us to actually pull this straight out. That's it, pull it out completely, and that leaves us with the lever, which is there with the cable attached, and the nipple for the cable is at this end, which you can see, so we can just pull that out completely, put a new cable in. That's it. Bob that in the bin. We'll get a new cable, a nice new shiny stainless steel one. And we'll just bob that down there. Whether you can see that. And we'll pull it through. Okay. And then what we need to do is we need to grab hold the other end. Okay, and we'll feed it through the cable which were there. Can you see that? We'll feed it through there and we'll push it until it comes out at the top. I'm trying to do this one-handed, so just give it a second or two. The actual cable pushes through quite easily, so that's a sign that the cable is actually not bent or twisted anywhere. So now that we've got that out, we'll pull that through. Okay. We'll put this barrel, the barrel that we took off at the bottom of the seat post, we'll put that back on the cable. Okay, and we'll just slot it in where it's supposed to be. Okay, we'll put some anti-seize on post. And we'll just drop that back down in there, pulling the cable at the same time from this side, so it don't get fast, so it don't, and it don't disconnect from the bottom of the post. That's it, very, very gently. That's it. That's it. So if we leave it there, okay, we'll fasten his lever back up to the bar. And then we'll give it a test. Oh yes, that's fine. Okay, look at that. Working perfectly. So the issue was with the restriction on the cable, it actually come disconnected on the bottom and it restricted down at the bottom end. But now that we've got a new cable and we've adjusted it and greased it, it's actually working perfectly. We need to put these cables back as they was before. So we'll push that back down first, get that in its right position. That's it. Put that screw in. Okay, and then manipulate those so they're in the right position as they were before, and that goes underneath there. That's it. That's it. That's it. Here we are. So let's put that clip back in. Now these clips are actually wider on the bottom to take the hose for the brake. So you need to make sure that you get them the right way around. Okay. We'll get the top one in. Making sure that they're in the right order. That's it. Get that down there. They're a bit awkward sometimes, these. That's it. Up in top, that's it. That's it. Okay, let's just carefully slide that back in there. That's it. And we'll put a little bit of Loctite and a little bit of grease on this nut. That's it. A little bit of grease. And we'll just tighten that back up. And then we'll torque it up as well. Okay, we'll put the top one in first. Again, a little bit of Loctite. That's it. A little bit of grease. Just offer that up there. There we are. Line that up. And there's 5mm Allen key. Okay, so if we tighten that top one up to 13 Newton meters, and the bottom one the same. Okay. 13 Newton meters on that top. That's it. And we'll do the same with the bottom. That's it. Okay, so we've got a shock back on, we've got us clamps back on as cables, we know this is routed right up in here, and we've got us lever back on as bar. So I think we're good to go. Yeah, good job. So just to recap, this bike came in, the seat post wasn't actually going up and down as it should from the lever. We felt the lever with his hands and we could feel some kind of restriction in there. It certainly wasn't quite right. And so we took the post out, took the clamps off the cable behind the shock, took the shock off, and we discovered that the cable was actually routed. It was pushed down the bottom, then it actually came back out and went up the seat post tube. So obviously it were restricted in there. We'd straighten that out and put a new inner cable in, grease the bottom of the mechanism on the post, and we've managed to sort it. So the problem's sorted. The dropper posts seem to be temperamental, to be, you know, generally speaking. They are a brilliant thing on a bike. If you've bought a seat post, a dropper post, and fitted it to your bike, you can't but wonder why you've ever managed without one before. They're absolutely fantastic, and they're great for just getting your weight over at back end when you're actually going off some drop-offs, say if you're going over at bars. And when you're without one, you really do miss it. And so they've kind of revolutionised mountain bikes in many ways. But because of what they are, because of how much use they get going up and down constantly, and where they are, sometimes you get a lot of muck and sludge going up the back of the seat post. There's quite a soft seal in there, so you've really got to be careful that you clean it right and you look after it, and it should be all right. But sometimes they can be quite problematic. But this one we've managed to solve. So the customer's going to be happy. We've got it back working as it should do. I think the main thing is it's just making people aware that if you're going to lift your seat post up and down and get it to the right position before you use the dropper side of it, is to make sure that you actually push and pull the cable through in the right position before you do that, because you've just seen, if we leave these clamps in here and try and pull this seat post up, it's just going to get dislodged. So yeah, please subscribe and share. Thank you to everybody that's subscribed so far. You're a fantastic lot, and we've had some good comments as well. And we'll do some more. Cheers, thanks for watching. See you later, bye.